Mm. Hello. So dumb. So dumb. Um, this is an explanation of my piece. That is a kind of like my personal take on pop art. I think like um, when you think of pop art, especially like in America, it's like a lot of Warhol, and so I took a lot of the like imagery that he uses, like a lot of primary colors, like a portrait, like a silk screen portrait of like Marilyn Monroe, and like then translated it because I think pop art is really interesting because it was like a rebellious force at the time to kind of like fight introspective abstract feelings, and instead being like, oh, art doesn't have to be like this really deep, really internal process. Like instead, like we can look out into our lives and see art. We can take the cultural norms and icons that we see, and that themselves can be art. And so he would do like products, brands, logos, famous people, and then I was thinking like, oh, like it's interesting then like what is pop art nowadays if I wanted to do it for myself? It's like, what are the cultural things that are relevant to me? Like, what is in my everyday life? But what if that's not as universal? Like, what kind of pop art does that become then? Because I'm still using like the conventional stylistic norms of the medium, but the material, but the subjects are a little different. For example, instead of like Marilyn Monroe, I'm using my boyfriend. Instead of like aligning soup cans in the background, I'm using uwu. And so it's like I think it's just like this really fun, kind of stupid take on like, oh, how can my personal everyday life, like the icons and like the subjects of my surroundings that I appreciate that might not be as universal. Like if I'm translating them through this pop art lens, like what does it become, and like what does that look like to other people? Yeah.